Good evening, everybody, and welcome tonight to day number 90. I was filling that, creating that image today and working with some guys in Ukraine. And one of them asked me, he goes, man, how is it day 90? I said, brother, I don't know. It's unbelievable. But it's day 90 and we are here. I do want to begin tonight before we jump in, and I've got lots of stuff. Title of the program tonight is, what was it? The World Doesn't Understand. I made the title. Title of the program, I just want to say it exactly. The world does not understand this war. And that is absolutely a fact. Going to prove it to you tonight. Going to give you an update, and nice to see all of you guys here. But we would do a disservice to families today. Just want to take a moment to remember the 18 children and the one adult that lost their life today in Uvalde, Texas. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. Really interesting because Uvalde, Texas, when I saw it, believe it or not, I have a very, very good friend that lives in Uvalde, Texas. We grew up together in the state of Virginia. For those of you that are watching, and maybe you remember back in my childhood, and you would remember this name, Lee Jenkins. Lee Jenkins. You say, well, you can't call her name. Oh, yeah, I can. We grew up together. No problem. Lee Jenkins moved to Uvalde years ago. And today, when I saw the news on that, and then I saw it said small town in Texas. And then I looked it up and started reading about it. It was Uvalde. I did call her and I checked on her. I said, listen, you know, was that close to you? She goes, Greg, it's a tiny town. It's close to everybody. and pretty much we're locked down right now. It is unbelievable what we're experiencing in our little town. So to begin tonight, we remember those families tonight that are dealing with the loss of their children and loved ones in Uvalde, Texas. Folks, good news and bad news. Let me give you some hellos. Appreciate all of you guys jumping in here. We have a really full night. Really full, and I just think we're spot on here. So let me just give some shout outs here. Nathan, nice talking to you earlier today, my friend. The Loziers, God bless you. Firecracker 10, Ted Link, God bless you. Rogammon, Midlothian, Virginia. Paul Kiss, our resident Canadian, Pennsylvania. Jerry Morris, Tulsa, Oklahoma, or maybe you're down in Honduras somewhere. Julia Augustine, Legend, Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Harrison City, Pennsylvania. Jeanette, Pennsylvania. God bless you all. Sharon Emmett, JDO, what's up, peep? Because we're peeps, you're peep. Ghani King. You know what? If you're messaging from Manila, Philippines, it's going up. Ghani, tomorrow or when the program's over, put your picture on your YouTube so everybody can see your face right there. You're good looking, my friend. Good morning to you there in Manila, in the beautiful Philippines. Folks, that's a city. Ghani and I have run all over that place. Ghani takes care of me. Thank you. Lynn Fireball, Mr. Baseball, Harold, God bless you guys. Wilberforce, greetings to all of you. Thank you, Greg, for all you have taught us. Hey, man, we're learning together. I do not know everything at all. I'm learning a lot. A lot of you guys teach me things, and I want to say thanks back to you. You guys, it's an equal. We're a partnership and we're a team. Today, actually, I got the call from Ukraine, and this time it was reversed. I recorded a voiceover today for the World Food Bank. Yes, I did. I recorded a voiceover for the World Food Bank. So if you see that video, it's 4 minutes coming out of Ukraine. It's going to be distributed internationally, and it pops up somewhere and you see it and you say, I think I know that voice. It was me. So I was very glad to help them. So you see, we're working together, we're pulling together, and we're making it happen. John McElvey, praying for Texas and Ukraine. Yes, sir, we are. Buddy Wilson, big hello to you there as well. So be blessed, everyone. Going to be a great 49 minutes and 26 seconds. And a couple of things that I jotted down just here right at the last moment, but I've got everything ready to go. Some of the regional military guys came out within the last few hours and said that the war in the East, and we will look at all of this in just a few moments, but I wanted to get these off my desk, is getting worse by the hour. We're at a very crucial period. In fact, President Zelensky said a little while ago that the invasion, the war, is the most active it has been since the war began. There is some serious pounding going on in the East and the South right now. President Zelensky also said that we must be focused as never before. We must get help. We must do everything we can do, because if the war in the East goes bad for us, it's going to be difficult, not impossible, but difficult to recover, defend our land, and then get the occupiers out. Russia also today, because by tomorrow night in 24 more hours, this will be old news, but the Russia parliament passed a law allowing Moscow to boot out Western journalists and Western news bureaus. We already know they've kicked out the Canadian broadcasting guys, and Trudeau went crazy about it. The other thing that was happening a little bit earlier today is that Russia and China were participating in joint military drills. No surprise there, but remember, the world doesn't understand this, and President Biden's telling Taiwan that, yeah, we'll come fight for you. Has no clue what they're dealing with. Mariupol port has been demined, meaning we're going to see what the plan unfolds. And just a little while ago, one of the leaders in the DNR was talking about the soldiers out of the Azovstal. He was talking nothing about a trade. He was talking about their trials for being Nazis and that they may invite outside journalists to come and watch. Firecracker 10, President Xi's speech tonight was very intense. He was not happy. No, they're not happy at all, and you're going to understand why in 46 minutes. So let's get to it, folks. A lot of good stuff tonight. I know you can't read this. This is in Ukrainian, but basically what it says is the amount of air alarms throughout every oblast since the war began through today. And on the left, you have the different oblast, so 24 of them: Lugansk, Kharkov, Chernihiv, Kyiv, Zhytomyr, Zaporozhye, Dnepropetrovsk, Donetsk, the Kyivska Oblast, Poltava, Cherkasy, Mykolaievska, Sumska, and it goes on and on. And what it's telling you is on the right, if you were to add up, will Finland and Sweden be able to join NATO? Oh, it's going to happen. We're just going to see what happens with Turkey, and I've got news on Turkey here in a moment. If you add up all the time since this war began, and tonight's easy, it's 90 days, and you were to add up all of the time under air alarms where people have had to go to the bunkers to hide because of the potential of missile attacks, if you lived in the Lugansk Oblast, you would have been under an air alarm for 53 days, 5 hours, and 7 minutes. Kharkiv, 19 days, 15 hours, and 3 minutes. It was a really interesting graphic to understand. I mean, just think about Lugansk. 90 days, you've been in the bunker 53 days under an alarm. Let's go to something normal. Let's look at our city, Khmelnytsky, about 2/3 of the way down. It starts with an X. Khmelnytskova, 5 days, 23 hours, and 38 minutes. So basically 6 full days, even in Khmelnytsky, under air alarms. I thought that was a very interesting graphic that would tell us some truth about the activity. Now, Russia, this is why President Zelensky is not upset, but reality is starting to hit a little bit. And the reality is Ukraine is doing a great job, but they need help. President Zelensky is very mad at Germany today, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Russia temporarily occupies, this is as of today, 20.7% of Ukrainian territory. 1/5, approximately 125,000 square kilometers are occupied. As of February the 23rd, which would have been 1 day before the second wave of this war, 43,000 square kilometers, or 7% of the Ukrainian territory, were under temporary occupation. They have moved from 7% to almost 21% of occupied territory. That's some real numbers. The fighting in the east and the south is the strongest it has been in 90 days. If you look along the front lines there on the right, you see all of the symbols with the bomb or the missile strikes. Basically, it is nonstop shelling, nonstop strikes along those lines. Today, a couple of cities fell, large towns that are very, very strategic. I'll show you those in a moment. But you can see that there is a very, very heavy force. And remember, yesterday it was Zelensky telling us that we're outnumbered 20-1 down there. The town Svitlodarsk fell today. A town of about 13 or 14,000 people. And very, very strategic location. We are zoomed in right here to the east. This is where for weeks and weeks we've been looking at the pinch. Black circle on the left. You know these places now. It's Kramatorsk, Ukraine. It is the target eventually. Hopefully it never happens. On the right, that is that pocket Rubizhny, that is Severodonetsk, that is Lysychansk, that's that whole area. And now you can see where over the last 24 hours, the Russian forces have pushed aggressively, and the falling of Svetodarsk was vital for that. You may ask, what is the distance, PG, between the red on the bottom and the red on the top? How far is the distance from Russia encircling the Ukrainian troops that are in the black circle on the right? 8 miles. 8 miles. The red on the top from the red on the bottom where the push is only 8 miles. There's some stress going on today in Kyiv. I have been working, this comes out of Australia actually, and it just verifies what we're seeing there, that push. So I like verifying it in multiple strategy sources. The first maps I show you are Ukrainian, this is Australian, I had the British. They're all showing the same thing. We've got about an 8-mile gap where Ukraine is tucked up in there. It's getting pretty tight, folks, militarily. Turkey. On the left today, Turkey, and this is where it gets goofy, and this is why we're going to begin now talking about the world does not understand this war. On the left, Turkey today published its requirements for Sweden and Finland being able to join NATO. Like, you know, they hold all the cards, but they do not. However, the way NATO works is you have to have unanimous ratification. So Turkey published official demands for Sweden and Finland. On the left, it's in Turkish. On the right, the main points are translated. Stop financing terrorism, specifically the Kurdistan Workers' Party. Stop supplying weapons to the Kurdistan Workers' Party. Lift the arms embargo on Turkey, and global cooperation in the fight against terrorism. Here's where we have a problem. Turkey hates the Kurds. The United States supports the Kurds. Just think about it for a moment. Not only that, here you go. Erdogan came out late last night, and this is a map of Syria in the color. And you see the red arrows dropping down. In the green, that is the area controlled by the Kurds. That would be northern Syria. Yes, this has everything to do with the Ukraine-Russia war. This has everything to do with NATO. Turkey posted their plans last night and declared that they will be invading the Kurdish territory to establish a 30-kilometer buffer, 20 miles basically, 18 to 20 miles into the territory, pushing it back to build a zone to protect their land. Do you guys see what's going on? How can I do that here? Let's see. I'll do that in a moment. Because I've got it ready for you. Why is President Zelensky mad? I'm glad whoever wrote that in the chat earlier, thank you. Why is President Zelensky mad? Why is Kyiv mad today? Well, one of the main reasons is the guy on the right, Mr. Henry Kissinger. Now, I want to make this statement first. I respect Henry Kissinger. He's 98 years old. He is a former Secretary of State, security advisor under Presidents Nixon and Gerald Ford. Not only that, he is a World War II veteran in the Battle of the Bulge. I would never disrespect Mr. Kissinger, no matter what your views on him are. He's an American veteran and a statesman. Doesn't mean you have to agree with him, but I will not disrespect him. But I will tell you today, he's off and he's incorrect. And at 98 years old, instead of attending these forums, Mr. Kissinger, please go enjoy your retirement. This was his statement, the top half. Negotiations need to begin in the next 2 months before it creates upheavals and tensions that will not be easily overcome. Ideally, the dividing line should be a return to the status quo ante. Pursuing the war beyond that part would not be about the freedom of Ukraine, but a new war against Russia itself. Mr. Kissinger, I do not know what you've been watching, who you've been talking to, but you do not understand this war. And I know that you are much more experienced than I am, and you are a World War II veteran, and I salute you. But, brother, if you think we're going to return to the status quo, you're sadly mistaken, and you do not understand this war. Mikhail Podolyak, right-hand man to the president, immediately replied, as easy as Mr. Kissinger proposes to give Russia part of Ukraine to stop the war, he would also allow to take Poland or Lithuania away. It's good that Ukrainians are in the trenches and do not have time for listening to madness. Our guys are a little bit busy right now defending freedom and democracy for the world. Folks, I think the title of the program is spot on. I'm telling you, the Philippines are rolling up in here. Ralph Foster, good morning from Dumaguete, Philippines. Pray hard and expect God to do something. You know what? We're giving some cheers out tonight. JDO, you're spot on. Kissinger's responsible for making China what it is. It's become along with President Clinton. You're correct. And they don't understand. I was going to ask the question, don't they understand? No, they don't. They do not understand that every time you make a statement like that, and you are somebody of the level of Henry Kissinger, you just emboldened Moscow. Every time Germany does not do what they're supposed to do, you embolden Moscow. Every ruble that is deposited into those oil companies' coffers, which is in Moscow's coffers, emboldens President Putin. It must stop. It's not going to, because the world doesn't understand this war. I'm more convinced than ever after today. In fact, let's do this. Before I go there, I want to show you a clip we've got translated. This is from Geroshenko. Geroshenko works in the Kyiv office with international relations. He's there with President Zelensky. Haven't shown you much from Geroshenko, but here's Geroshenko. Take a listen. As Kissinger today was talking about giving away Ukrainian territory and appeasing Vladimir Putin, this is what Geroshenko was saying.
Звернемося до історії питання до початку незалежності України. Хто наполягав на тому, щоб ми віддали ядерну зброю? Захід. Хто наполягав на тому, щоб ми віддали 585 ракет Х-55, це крилаті ракети з дальністю 2500 кілометрів. Захід наполягав на цьому. Хто наполягав на тому, що ми віддали 16 бомбардувальників стратегічних Ту-95 і Ту-160? Захід. Ми віддали 1740 ядерних боєголовок, 585 крилатих ракет, кожна з яких могла поцілити у Кремль, наприклад. Ми віддали стратегічні бомбардувальники. І прикро те, що нас обстрілюють з цих бомбардувальників тими ракетами, які ми віддали. Тому я вважаю, що ця дискусія, давати чи не давати Україні зброю, вона взагалі недоречна. В Будапештському меморандумі було прописано, що страни-гаранти, США, Великобританія, гарантує нам безпеку, в тому числі економічну, в тому числі військову безпеку. Тому, якщо ви не готові за нас воювати, ми це розуміємо, да? Давайте нам всі види зброї, які нам потрібні, окрім ядерної. Так, нам не потрібні підводні човни або там ядерна зброя. Але нам потрібна система реактивного залпового вогню, які англійською позначаються абревіатурою МЛРС. І нам потрібно багато артилерії, і нам потрібно дуже багато боєприпасів. До речі, країни Заходу навіть не мають достатніх запасів цих боєприпасів. Вони вважали, що після розпаду Радянського Союзу в Європі неможлива велика війна. Сполучені Штати взагалі, їх потенціал військовий – це саме флот та військово-повітряні сили. Нам потрібно, щоб Захід був зараз фабрикою зброї для України. Тому що інакше ми не зможемо виженути російські війська з нашої території. А ми повинні не тільки захищатися, що ми робимо добре, нам потрібно наступати. Для прориву оборони проти супротивника потрібно закидати їх мільйонами снарядів, мільйонами ракет для того, щоб йти вперед. І як влучно сказав президент Зеленський, ми воюємо на своїй території. І окупована частина Донбаса з 2014 року – це також наша територія. І звісно, що ми маємо повне право використовувати зброю для того, щоб звільнити на територію України, окуповані росіянами з 2014 року. Але якщо Захід не буде нас підтримувати, ми будемо про це мовчати, треба звертатися до народів Заходу і запитувати їх, як вони вважають, чи правильно роблять їх уряди, не даючи нам певні види зброї.
So there you have the update from Geroshenko. This was all in response today. Now, I agree with everything he's saying except two things, except one thing, actually, and you caught it. You're reading the translation. He says, you know, the American military might is in its Air Force and Navy, which it is. But, brother, you do not want the Army and Marines raining down on anybody. All of our branches are powerful, and all of our branches have the best men and women in the world. So, salute. Air Force, Navy, Marines, Army, Coast Guard, National Guard, police, firemen. I can keep listing. Thank you guys all for your service. But here's what you see. Here's what you hear. Could you hear a little bit of desperation? Folks, I'm here to tell you tonight that the South and the East is being demolished right now. It's absolutely being demolished. Lowered, leveled, lasered, raised, removed, erased, whatever words you want to use, it is being devastated. And there is some tension that is rising in Ukraine. You know, they are limited. And I've shared for 90 days. Russia may struggle in morale. Russia may struggle with concepts and strategies. They're not going to run out of weapons. I'm telling you. How about Moscow Times today? Beautiful St. Petersburg, and that is not a joke. That is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Vows to restore destroyed sister city Mariupol. Let me tell you what that is right there. Propaganda and trash. St. Petersburg is not going to do anything about Mariupol. Mariupol right now, the entire city, right now, 9:30 p.m., 4:30 a.m., May the 25th, 2022. Right now, no water, no gas, no electricity. Right now. No water, no gas, no electricity. Folks, this is a big city that has fallen to Russia. Now, all right. No water, no gas, no electricity. Let me tell you the truth about this right here. Today in Mariupol, 200 bodies were discovered. They said they were discovered in a basement. They were not discovered in a basement. So when you're reading on your news sources, they were not in a basement. Today in Mariupol, you know, the beautiful sister city of St. Petersburg that they're going to restore, that has no water, no gas, and no electric, and is level to the ground. A discovery was made, and it got back to the west. It got back to Ukraine. In the red circle on the left, you see like a garage type building. You see the open garage door. On the right in the gold circle, yes, it's you really can't recognize it. Those are bodies. 200 bodies were discovered stacked in that building on the left like firewood. I just tell you the truth, the stench was so bad that's why they're wearing the mask. They're not wearing the mask because of COVID. The mask is because of how bad it is. Those bodies were not in a basement. They were not under rubble. They were stacked in that building on the left like firewood. And they're trying to get them out. But nobody wants to get them out now because nobody cares about them. So most likely that will be a bulldozer, a front end loader coming to do a disservice to those people's bodies. It's just pressure coming, folks. Lots of pressure right now on Ukraine. Now, with all of that, today in Mariupol, got a little video for you. No gas, no electric, no water. But all around the city streets, and maybe you've never seen this before if you've been out of America, but I can tell you this is the truth. Don Gentilini can tell you this is the truth. What they have in these nations that were part of the Soviet Union, they'll have these trucks. And on these trucks, today in 2022, they'll have TV monitors or big screens. But back in the day, it would just be megaphones and loudspeakers, and the propaganda would go nonstop. Well, folks, we're back in the USSR, because today in Mariupol, where there's no gas, water, or electricity, this is what people are seeing in the streets. Listen very closely, because if you've been watching this program for 90 days now, you know what is playing. And better than that, I'm going to show you what the citizens of Mariupol were watching today. Check out Mariupol first. Just a few seconds here. Screen on the left on the truck. Now, did you catch it? The truck there running, you can hear the generator, you see the screen. You can't see every image because it's camera on camera. But you should have been able to recognize it. I'm going to play it one more time. It's short. You should be able to recognize this. Did you catch it? Remember what we call them? The nut jobs, propagandists in Moscow? You remember those guys? That's what they're watching. You know, I've shared with you that this is what you see when you are behind, and I'm going to call it the Iron Curtain again, but when you're behind it, that's what you see. It's on every channel. It's flooded in the media. It's nothing but brainwashing. That is what's happening in the streets of Mariupol. Now, what were they watching? Let me tell you what they were watching. You know, if you listened really closely, the nut jobs. So today, what were the nut jobs saying, and what are the citizens, Ukrainians, captured on the territory of Russia now in Mariupol, occupied? What were they listening to, as well as the rest of those under the propaganda today? Here's a few samples from today. Folks, buckle your seatbelts.
СК ДНР и ЛНР сражаются за свою землю. А вот дальше вопрос, а за что сражаться теробороне? Там нет их земли.
И войска ЛНР, ДНР сражаются за свою землю, и армия России сражается за свою
вот как
землю.
раз мы говорим людям, опомнитесь. Мы говорим людям, вспомните, кто вы есть. Посмотрите, что с вами делают. Посмотрите, кто вас захватил. Мы как раз говорим вам, вспомните ваше великое прошлое. Очнитесь, прекратите себе лгать. В этом же главная суть. Почему вам придумывают мову? Почему вам придумывают, ну, вы русин, вам нужен тот суржик, на котором пытается с вами разговаривать Зеленский?
Нет, конечно.
Посмотрите, какую вам придумывают историю, какую вам придумывают религию. Это же, и поэтому речь-то идет о другом. Почему народ за нас? Западники говорят, вас не встречают цветами. Еще как встречают. Еще как встречают, несмотря на страх. А встречать будут еще больше, когда поймут, что мы никуда не уйдем.
That's what they're watching. Did you catch a couple of the statements that he made? You're trying to speak a language that they made up for you. That's referring to the Ukrainian language. You're trying to speak a language that President Zelensky is trying to speak. So why would he say that? because Zelensky is from Eastern Ukraine. His native language was Russian, and then he learned Ukrainian. Understood. Westerners say they're greeting with us they're not greeting us with flowers. Yes, they are. You have to remember who you are. 24/7. How about his partner in crime?
И все они верят, что мы обязательно проиграем, а Запад обязательно победит. Не понимая, что это невозможно. Но это просто невозможно, так не будет. Это или закончится совсем плохо для всего человечества, или мы победим. Третьего здесь не дано. Когда спрашивают, сколько будет продолжаться наше вот это вот отчуждение, противостояние с Западом, у меня версия только одна, что, ребята, это навсегда. Просто привыкайте к этой новой жизни. Я не могу больше слушать нытье про то, что детей жалко, детей жалко. Вот в чем вам жалко детей? А вот людям многим жалко, что они теперь не будут учиться на Западе, они теперь перед ними не будет открыт этот дивный новый мир, они вот теперь как бы немножко так будут закрыты. Я им говорю, послушайте, люди, радоваться нужно, радоваться нужно. Этот дивный новый мир с такой скоростью курьерского поезда несется в ад, что через 10 лет вы скажете спасибо огромное, что мой ребенок никогда не учился на Западе, и у него больше не будет такого шанса, потому что, по крайней мере, он останется моим ребенком и нормальным человеком. Что бы ни было, как бы мы себя ни вели, у нас это противостояние с ними при нашей жизни точно.
This is what they're listening to in Mariupol on the trucks. This is your new life. Stop whining about the children. Who cares about the children? Folks, I'm showing you the evil, the darkness that is spewing. And I know you say, oh, nobody's listening to that. You don't know Russia. Yes, they are, by the millions. And then they're force feeding it to everyone in the occupied territories. It's all they hear. This is your new life. Get used to it. We will win. Last one.
Они не могут понять, вот что бы ни случилось, вот они туда, не знаю, томагавки начнут поставлять. Россия не может проиграть. Она не проиграет. Ну ни при каких обстоятельствах Россия не проиграет, потому что нам не нужен мир, в котором нет России. Путин это сказал не в шутку. Он это сказал серьезно. Да. Вот этого они понять искренне, нет, честно. Россия Майкл, вы не можете этого понять как класс.
Это не вопрос. Россия останется только без Украины. Вот и все.
Да подождите, не останется ни Америки, ни какой-то части, скорее всего, России, не будет Европы. Вот этого вы понять не можете вообще никак.
Поэтому как они
Потому что, когда умные люди типа Киссинджера, у вас просто нет больше Киссинджеров, а по мнению многих ведущих дипломатов, Блинкину вашему во времена Киссинджера не разрешили бы и не доверили бы бумагу с ручкой в переговорной раскладывать по его интеллектуальному, значит, кругозору. Так вот, Киссинджер и все умные даже сегодня, почитайте политологов, Атлантик, Консул, уж совсем это правда, комсомольская правда демократической партии, политика. Есть там умные, которые говорят, вы что, ребят, с ума сошли? Вы ядерное государство пытаетесь загнать в угол? Это как? Вы не понимаете, что это вы с Кореей не можете совладать? У нее постоянно то долет, то недолет с ракетами, они никак не могут сообразить. А вы что, с Россией хотите вот такие?
Не загнать в угол, загнать обратно.
И когда ты говоришь, какие гарантии Украины, да забудь ты про ту территорию, которая раньше была государством Украина. Ее уже не будет в том виде, в котором мы все знаем. Ее просто не будет.
How would you like to hear that every day? You know tonight that I'm showing you exactly what has happened. And this is fresh. How do we know? Because they're talking about Kissinger. And if you notice, they also know about the other, what would I say, publications, The Atlantic, Politico, that support things similar to what Kissinger said. Kissinger's the only smart man they don't have anymore. Folks, these guys are on top of it. I don't mean they're right. Of course, they're bonkers, but they know. They know what is being written in the West. They know what everything is. They know how everything is unfolding. I'm not showing you something 2 weeks old. You want to know why there's so much pressure in Kyiv right now? Because the East and the South are being bombarded. We've got Kissinger up there running off about give dirt away. And you've got these nut jobs reinforcing it all through Russia, all through the occupied territories, and Putin sitting in the Kremlin smiling like a fat cat as Germany and Italy and France fill his coffers and put chips in his weapons. Man, that was very accurate what I'm sharing with you. The world doesn't understand. Make no mistake about it. Putin will not quit. He will not give up. He's not going to run out of weapons. And the only thing that's going to help is we've got to go take care of business. Today, yesterday actually, May the 23rd, this is in Russian language. The Kherson Oblast now is operating on the ruble. And if you have grivna, they will give you 2 rubles for every 1 grivna. Grivna being the currency of Ukraine. It's over. Oh, let's do a little question. Let me check your Russian tonight. Can you read that sign? On the top of that building? This is a city down south. We've talked about this city many times. It is also now converted over to the ruble. What is the name of that city? Berdyansk. You see the Black Sea? Actually, the Sea of Azov behind it. Berdyansk. B-E-R-D. Ya-U-N-S-K. Berdyansk. That is Berdyansk. Hey, I've got to give some shout outs now. Philippines is rolling up in here. We've hit some algorithm on the Philippines. Joseph Delag, God bless you. You and your lovely wife, Jay. Bless you. CIF TV, watching from the Philippines. Let's go. Philippines is supporting Ukraine. Love the Philippines. You know why I love the Philippines so much? And all you guys in the Philippines that are watching right now, I know I'm going to make you laugh. Don't get mad at me. But every time I'm in the Philippines, I feel so tall. All 5 foot 5 inches of me. I feel like a giant. I love you people. We see eye to eye on everything. Cost of living. Why is Kyiv nervous? Why does the world not understand? Folks, the cost of living, and we deal with Zhenya, and I can tell you, the van is purchased. He's driving it right now on the way back to Ukraine. They've picked up the humanitarian aid. He's probably approaching the border. They're doing great. Everything's cool. But look at the cost of living, the cost of apartments specifically. Up 88%, 55%, 46%, 10%, 20%, 225%. You see the 96% over on the far left? That's Lviv. Why are these prices up? Because the landowners, the apartment owners are trying to take advantage of people that are migrating, trying to find places to live. There's way more people than properties available. So what happens? Supply and demand. The price goes up. Ukraine is in a very difficult situation. I would like to give a shout out today to Boris Bondaryev. Maybe you heard of this guy. His name becoming a little bit well known today. He was Russia's permanent advisor to the UN mission in Geneva, Switzerland. He resigned. He put out a tweet a little while ago and he says, long overdue, but today I resigned from civil service. Enough is enough. For 20 years of my diplomatic career, I have seen different turns of our foreign policy, but never have I been so ashamed of my country as on February 24th of this year. The aggressive war unleashed by Putin against Ukraine, and in fact against, pay attention to this guy, the entire Western world. is not only a crime against the Ukrainian people, but also perhaps the most serious crime against the people of Russia. Spot on, with a bold letter Z, crossing out all hopes and prospects for a prosperous, free society in our country. Medvedev, this is all today. Mr. Kissinger and Germany's inaction, blocking on the government level the transference of weapons and tanks to Ukraine, started this house of cards falling down in the last 23 hours. These guys are upset because these nations are not fulfilling their obligations, number one. And number two, Russia's becoming emboldened off of what appears to be support from people like Macron, Germany, Mr. Kissinger, and whoever else wants to support them in the world. Medvedev says, stop threatening Crimea and stop talking about the protection for the ports. Who's he speaking to? He's speaking to Great Britain. Why is he speaking to Great Britain? Because Great Britain came out on the national level today, not Boris, but national level members, and says, listen, we can put a detachment of warships in the Black Sea just for the purpose of making sure we can get the grains out to feed the world. If you put warships in there, you better be ready to fight, because you will be struck. They will not allow you to do that. Medvedev says, stop threatening Crimea. Stop talking about protection for these ports. These will be reasons for a full-scale war. There he is, Mr. Lavrov. You know these people. These guys got bold today after Kissinger and other guys made their statements. The Russian Foreign Ministry accused Western politicians of poorly studied at school and do not know what Russia is. Now, let me finish this first paragraph. When they talk about the defeat of the Russian Federation, here's what I'm going to say. Mr. Lavrov, your first paragraph is perfectly spot on, and I agree with you, sir, 100%. Hold on. PG, you can't agree with him on that statement. I can. It's what I'm trying to share in here for 90 days. The Russian Foreign Ministry accused, this is Lavrov, Western politicians of poorly studied at school, and I'm quoting it, and do not know what Russia is. He's dead accurate. It's what we're trying to share. It's what President Zelensky and the others are saying. Please share the truth, the truth, the truth. We're telling you the truth. These leaders and these diplomats do not understand Russia. And if you think you can negotiate, that you can buy your way out on this level with Mr. Putin, it's the same thing as dealing with Adolf Hitler. It's not going to happen, and he will laugh at you all the way to the bank. He's spot on. Second paragraph. They say that Russia must fail. They must defeat Russia, make Russia lose on the battlefield. They, politicians, must have done poorly in school, drawing the wrong conclusions from their understanding of the past and what Russia is. Putin's faithful horse, Lavrov boldly declares. As of today, only 7 nations have officially declared genocide in Ukraine. And unfortunately, you can see the United States is not there. But officially, big shout out, bottom right, our neighbor to the north, Canada. We have Canadians that view this program each night. Canada, on the left, Czechoslovakia, left, Estonia, top line, of course, Ukraine. To the right, Polsha, Poland, Latvia, and Litva, which is Lithuania. These are the nations, 6 plus Ukraine, that have declared genocide. Finally, today, President Duda, he let it rip. Why was President Zelensky, why were all the politicians in Kyiv, the leaders, just rattled today? Poland's President Duda faults the German government for breaching its word on arms deliveries to Ukraine. The government in Berlin has promised Poland Leopard tanks to replace the existing Polish tanks delivered to Ukraine. You haven't kept that promise. He calls them out. And frankly, we are very disappointed about it. Duda told the television he was being interviewed with there at the Economic Forum in Davos. Last paragraph, we have provided Ukraine with a large number of tanks because we believe it is our responsibility as a neighbor, Duda said. This would have weakened Poland's own military potential and used up military stocks. Folks, that is the truth of what's happening today. When we look at these things, we look at Mr. Kissinger, we look at Germany, we look at everything happening throughout the world. These nations truly don't understand. I want to finish tonight right here. Let's see here. Boop. I like showing you each night. Go red. They're still cluster bombing Mykolaiv, and today, the reason some of the nervousness, a very large push happened up toward Zaporozhye. Very large. As well, big push down, big push up, and right here. I hope it doesn't happen, but we're very close to a pinch happening on Ukraine and quite a few troops being encircled. I hope it doesn't happen. Ukraine needs a major push. And today, we need to remember to pray for Ukraine. Continue to do our part to share the truth because getting a little tight. That's 90 days, folks, and that is the update. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I had a little scratchy throat today, to be honest with you, and my wife thought it was allergies, so she gave me a Zyrtec. Zyrtec and I do not get along, so I've had a very slow day. I will tell you this one thing. The other thing that I didn't share with you is today missiles were being fired from Belgorod into Ukraine. It's just an all-out assault right now, folks. I could sit here and just continue to color all of this, but you know the story. It's just an all-out assault. And now more than ever, Ukraine needs our support and Ukraine needs our help. And we don't need people running around giving away Ukrainian territory. You just think about it for yourself as we're closing out tonight. What if it happened to you? You say, well, it's hard for me to think that way. It is, but just try. What? And most in here are Americans. We have other nations that watch as well, but 400,000, 500,000. What's a city with 500,000 people? Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Metro, maybe? That's a good one. Let's just say Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Oh, no, we got to do a port city. 500,000 on a port. Savannah, Georgia. Let's go Savannah. Beautiful city on the port. Savannah. Invaded, taken over, people in prison, carried away. Put yourself in that for a moment. And then you look and you see the defenders not being exchanged, but probably going on trial. And you see your people, Americans in that city, no water, no electricity, no gas. And on the streets is the propaganda, and the garages are full of dead bodies. Just think about it. That's the reality of what Ukraine's facing. It's hard to think about when you're not there, but it is what we're facing together. As always, guys, thank you for being here and thank you for being a part. Full hour we had tonight, and you were fully updated. And I firmly believe that the world does not understand what's going on. Thank you for continuing to give. Let me give that. How did that happen? There it is. Boom. Thank you for continuing to give. Thank you for continuing to pray. Thank you for all the Philippines new family members. PG Trial Allegra. Can't take any other same reason. Our news channels needs to see this video. Well, Firecracker 10, I appreciate that. And we're trying. We're trying. But here's what I'm going to tell you guys. I'm a firm believer in Galatians 6:9. And that is, don't be weary in well-doing, for at the right time you're going to reap a harvest. You see, it's getting quiet. You just look at your newspapers, look at your social medias, look at everything. It kind of gets quiet a little bit. But we haven't went anywhere. And we're not going to go anywhere. And I'm telling you right now, unless something happens, this is going to be tough. And we'll be here telling the truth. And when people are looking for the truth, when it gets a little tougher, we'll be here, and it'll be a place they can trust. Thank you guys for all your support. Continue to like, share, and comment. Be blessed, and we'll see you in 23 hours. Have a great night.